Cut! That was terrible. I mean, that's what I wish I could have said before I made a bunch of these incredible mistakes in my career last year. Let's talk about it, because I believe I should tell you guys the bad stuff as well as the good. I heard once that it's more important to understand why you fail than it is to understand why you succeed. So let's talk about some of my failures and how you can learn from them. Hey everyone, I'm Zieja, a full-time voice actor for the last 10 years and founder of LearnVoiceActing.com. I've booked over 6,000 voice acting gigs in my career, and I'm here to help you demystify the industry and empower you to start your voice acting journey today without asking for anybody else's permission. Okay, mistake number one, I said yes to way too much. Okay, this first one can definitely be applied to a lot of people in a lot of parts of their lives, especially those of us that are in a creative economy or a gig economy. It can feel like we have this incredible pressure to say yes to everything because we don't know when people are gonna stop knocking at our door. This scarcity mindset is something that every artist has to conquer at some point in their career. I know I did, and it could be especially difficult when you're just starting out, because even that first gig feels like a surprise or like you somehow cheated the system. You didn't believe it when you booked your first gig, so why would you believe it going forward? Trust me, I understand that there's a time in life to grind, okay? There's a time in life to sprint, but it can't be all the time. And you can only sprint in one direction at a time, unless you figured out that whole weird multi-dimension thing and you can kind of split yourself into multiple copies of yourself, which brings up with a whole host of other problems I don't want to get into right here. But my one major mistake of last year was that I said yes to too much. I didn't prioritize the right things, and I paid for it in a lot of stress and a lot of burnout. As a matter of fact, the burnout got so bad that in November, I planned a wonderful 3-day trip with my wife to Santa Barbara and spent almost all of it in bed. Because at that point, my body just couldn't handle the stress anymore. I slept for 13 hours a night and I couldn't focus on anything. And if you don't believe me, take a look at this snapshot of my actual calendar that's from an actual week of my actual life. You might be saying to yourself, oh yeah, that's probably only a one-time thing, but no, there was a lot of weeks that looked exactly like that. And honestly, it doesn't really matter what those calendar blocks actually were. Even if they were all voice acting gigs, it didn't matter. It was still too much. I can tell you that it wasn't all voice acting gigs though, and I definitely spread myself over many different things. Probably the primary one of which was making sure I was focused on my students, you guys. I was really overwhelmed by the amount of people that wanted to learn from me, and I just said yes to way too many things, way too many times. Aside from that, my conventions appearance schedule was way more aggressive than it was in previous years. If you haven't traveled that much, let me tell you that travel is one of the most consistently stressful things you can do to yourself and in your life. It comes with great rewards, yeah, but it also comes with a huge toll on your body, especially if you're changing time zones and messing up your circadian rhythm. And I spent a whole lot of time in different time zones last year. So what's the effect of saying yes to too many things? Everything suffers. When you're in burnout, you do absolutely nothing well. You start dropping balls. You make mistakes you wouldn't normally make. Stuff like showing up late to things, which I never do, mixing up appointments, or just being less emotionally available for my wife and kids. As you might be able to tell, none of these things are good. You need to make sure that you're giving yourself time in your life to relax and understanding that sometimes it's okay to say no to opportunities. Remember that everything you do has a cost. Even the things that make you money. If you agree to go someplace for a weekend and make a few $1,000s or whatever, there's still an associated cost with it. It's called opportunity cost. You're giving up the opportunity to do something else with your time. And sometimes that something can be really important. Remember that rest is productive. Calm is productive. You cannot write a novel if the page isn't blank. Leave some blank pages, and you never know what in life will fill it up with something better than anything you could have planned yourself. That leads me to my next biggest mistake of last year in voice acting. I stopped auditioning. Well, I didn't stop. That's a little silly, but I really pulled back. I know that sounds kind of insane, and it sounds obvious, but it happens with actors way more often than any of us would like to admit. Like, duh, of course, Joe, you didn't audition for voice acting gigs, you won't get voice acting gigs. Now, if you said that to yourself in your head, I want you to tell me in the comments how many jobs you've auditioned for in the last couple of weeks, but it's probably less than you could have. Now, I know that might sound counterintuitive, given the fact that I just warned all of you about burnout, but it's about making sure that you're giving priority to your voice acting career. The reason I stopped auditioning and therefore booked less work was because my focus was elsewhere. Sometimes I did so intentionally, sometimes I did so unintentionally. Your goal is to always be making your focus as intentional as possible so that you have expected results, not unexpected results. Unexpected results that we can't explain are the ones that make us panic and make us feel like we're falling. So yes, I put a lot less effort into my auditions last year. And surprising no one but myself, because I didn't keep track of it, I saw it in the amount of bookings that I got. My advice to you guys is that if you're really considering putting any amount of effort into your voice acting, make sure you're sending out auditions. If nobody has anything from you, they can't book you. If you find yourself constantly grabbing the low-hanging fruit on your to-do list, take a deep look inside yourself and try to think real hard about whether or not you're avoiding your auditions because of something else. Is it because you don't feel good enough? Is it because you're disappointed in yourself? Is it because it's just hard? Sure, organizing your drawers is a productive thing to do, but are you doing it because you're actually just trying to avoid the hard work, like your auditions? These are the questions you need to ask yourself when you find yourself not getting the audition output that you want or need to maintain a healthy career. And my last big mistake that I want to talk to you about when it comes to my voice acting career is this: I played it safe. What am I talking about when I say that I'm playing it safe? Talking about my audition reads. One of the most consistent pieces of feedback I got from various people I asked throughout the course of last year was, "Hey Joe, that was a really correct read. It was perfect. How safe?" Because I wasn't as focused as I needed to be, when I finally did step into the booth to audition, I found that it was more comfortable for me to just slap down the most basic read that I could. I didn't take time with the copy. I gave the most middle-of-the-road, safe performance that I could on a lot of my auditions. And that might work in some cases, like pay-to-plays, corporate video narration. But when you're trying to add nuance to performances like video games and animation, you're gonna come up sounding really stale. Even when it comes to things like commercial work, you have to be willing to play along the edges and break rules, be different. Not different for the sake of being different, but making sure that you're putting your own authentic voice into your auditions and not just giving them what you think they want. I talk about this all the time when I teach my students in many lessons throughout the comprehensive voice acting academy I have on learnvoiceacting.com, but you have to find a way to make your auditions pop. You have to take risks. You have to inject your unique perspective and be okay with the idea that a casting director may not exactly want you, and that's okay. Make strong choices has become kind of a cliche in the acting world, but it's become a cliche for a reason. Weak choices, weak bank account. Okay. Wow, that kind of felt a little bit like a therapy session for me. I hope this did a couple of things for you. First, I hope it helps you understand that even those who were working all this time in this business don't have it all together all the time, and that's okay. Even the experts in the field make mistakes. But second, I hope that those mistakes help you learn. In my vulnerability, I hope there exists some small modicum of education for you as you start to build your own career. And remember, hey, Joe told me this one thing about maybe not saying yes to every opportunity that knocks on my door. Can I apply that to this opportunity? If you found this helpful, do me a favor, throw me a like and subscribe. Helps me support the channel and continue creating content to raise up the next generation of voice actors. And if you're ready to get started, there's a free ebook linked in the description below about how to get started in voice acting today. I'll see you next time with more voice acting insight. Go get behind the mic.